From Prairie Lodge, this is the Sun City Report, a program to keep you up to date on what's happening in Sun City, Huntley. Your host is your fellow Sun City resident, WGN's Orion Samuelson.
We continue our Sun City Report, this new edition for 2011. We're talking to Bill Pinnock, who's the Executive Director of the Sun City Community Association. And some laws have changed in Illinois that I understand change election processes for associations like this, Bill. We have an annual meeting coming up and an election, so let's talk about, first of all, the annual meeting. It happens when?
Okay, it's coming up Wednesday, January 26th at 6 p.m. We'll have the annual meeting of the members first, which normally lasts anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And then we'll have a quarterly board meeting where we'll take action items and things. That's 6 o'clock at Drindle Hall, Wednesday the 26th.
But the election process has changed. Why?
That's correct. The state of Illinois, earlier in 2010, early 2010, passed a law that was signed by the governor that went into effect July 1st. It's called the Common Interest Community Association Act. And it's a lot of the states, mainly a lot of legislation for property owners and HOAs come out of Florida, California, Nevada. I spent 20 years in Virginia. Virginia had a Property Owners Act. Illinois did not have a Property Owners Association Act. It had a Condominium Act, and then the Nonprofit Corporation Act. Luckily, the drafters of our Declaration of Covenants utilized the Illinois Condominium Act and the Nonprofit Corporation Act when they developed the Declaration of Covenants for Sun City Huntley, because the state of Illinois developed their own Property Owners Act last year, and they drew from the Condo Act and from the Nonprofit Act. So we complied with the majority of the new act, except for a minor change in our budget process, which we had to make sure that the members had a copy of the budget at least 30 days before the board approved it.
Okay.
You know, good addition.
Sure.
You know, we were probably as transparent as anybody as far as giving out information and having meetings, but we just had to make sure we had everybody had a hard copy, and we did that through the Lifestyle magazine. The other one, which we've addressed in our 2011 budget, is now during the resale process, we have to sign a certificate that says that the unit that's being sold complies with all our rules and regulation, and there might any kind of architectural change that might have done, it's complied, it's been approved. Prior to now, it was kind of a caveat emptor where the buyer would be responsible if there'd been some type of a violation. Now, if we sign off on that, and we the association says that the unit is good, it absolves the new owner from having to deal with anything in case we miss something. So we will be going out and doing inspections, and a lot of people thought we were going to, when we conveyed this, thought it might be interior inspections. No, this is exterior only, just to make sure that it meets the standards of the community from an exterior appearance standpoint.
So if I'm going to sell, you're going to come out and take a look at the exterior.
Upon request, we have to get a certificate. You know, if it's a person-to-person type transaction that we don't necessarily know about, obviously we can't do any kind of certification. Right. But in most cases, we'll get a call from the closing attorney and do some resale certificates and get a package together. This package will include the inspection report that says that, you know, as simple as your unit is fine, or else if we do find violations, we'll make sure we itemize those.
Okay. Now the election process.
The election process. Yeah. There again, this is. I think it's a good thing that the state put this law into effect, because there's a lot of smaller type associations that might not have had arm's length type elections. The Sun City Huntley election process was probably the most extensive one I've ever seen. Yeah. From a procedural standpoint, and last year we implemented the online from our election committee, which was very successful. But the law says that the election shall, and it's quote, shall take place at the annual meeting. Prior to this, our election process started in the summertime as far as candidates and candidate forums and getting petitions, and then the election itself took place in October. So by the time we got to the annual meeting, the board was already organized, ready to go, ready to start the new year off. So now that we have to wait for the annual election, the election committee, we had to go ahead and, at least for the time being, we had to put the electronic voting on hold. We sent out absentee ballots, and we will have part of the election process at the annual meeting on January 26th.
So the online is on hold, but the possibility
Right.
that in future years we could see it.
We've had a number of conversations with our local representatives and also with the attorney that represented the committee that drafted the legislation. And they recognize that the law, even though it was meant to protect, might have put some undue influences, isn't the right word, but some pressures on people that already had existing procedures, which right now we're trying to work and we've already submitted language to the legislature that says that communities of our size that had existing procedures in place won't have to follow that part of the law. So we're hoping that takes place this January, along with the 66% income tax hike.
Oh yeah, you had to mention that.
Yeah.
Golly, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Bill, for that. We always have new residents coming into the community, and I've got a couple of minutes in this segment. Quickly take me through the structure again. How many board members and then how many committees that actually operate?
The community is governed by a 7-member board elected at large, and it's staggered. So one year we'll have 4 members elected, the next year we'll have 3. The board is supported by volunteer committees. Right now we have 10 that we call our standing committees, and then those committees have subcommittees that work with them on a direct basis. So all told, we have roughly 200 volunteers from the community that donate their time and talents to the committee structure.
So if I'm going to run for office, how do I do that?
Well, our recommended course would be to start at a committee level and
Right.
get used to, if you've never been involved in a community association, there's a lot of moving parts, especially Sun City Huntley. There's a lot of activity, a lot of things going on. So we recommend that people go through the committee structure, learn the community, learn the other people, the other leaders, volunteer leaders. But if you just wanted to go ahead and pick up a petition, we always try to advertise and market the fact that the elections are coming up and that there's board openings. And if someone just wants to come off the street and run for the board, they have to go through our process, which is having a petition signed by 100 of the other members in good standing in the community, and then following the set processes. So,
How often does that board meet?
the board meets once a month.
Okay.
And up until now, only the quarterly board meetings were televised. And last year, we did a test to televise live and then rebroadcast the board meetings, and it was very successful. So, we might have 150 people show up at the meeting, but there might be a couple thousand people watching it or see it in the rebroadcast.
Right.
Just one of our communication tools.
I have to ask one quick question here, because people who come visiting us always talk about the beauty of the landscaping. Is there a committee that does that, or?
Yes, it's called our Facility Advisory Committee. They work
Right.
closely with our maintenance staff.
And that takes care of the landscaping, the Christmas decorating, and
The
everything?
Christmas decorating is the garden club. The garden club does the lodge, the Sun City Garden Club. Excuse me, our contractor Brickman does the exterior maintenance, or excuse me, the entry, and then does the on the light poles, the banners.
Well, it's beautifully done.
They do a nice job.
And I think it attracts a lot of people to the community, and as property owners, as one of the property owners, I say thank you to whoever puts in all that hard work and keeps it looking the way it does. We haven't talked about restaurant, and we haven't talked about conversion of the sales center. So get ready for that. That'll be our next coverage here as we continue.
Okay.
We're talking to Bill Panock, who's Executive Director of the Sun City Community Association. And yes, we'll talk sales center conversion and restaurant when we continue on the Sun City Report.
This has been the Sun City Report. Your host has been WGN's Orion Samuelson.